For those of you that may not be fully caught up on the Alex Murdaugh murder trial, I'm going to give you a quick recap. That way, when you jump into today's video, you won't feel like you need to go back and watch the whole trial. You'll pretty much be caught up. There won't be any confusion, and you will be able to enjoy the video today. So here's a quick recap of the Murdaugh legal saga. Alex Murdaugh was a prominent attorney, now disgraced attorney, in the Low Country of South Carolina. Alex grew up in South Carolina and remained in the area with his wife Maggie and two sons, Buster and Paul. Alex's family was known as a powerful legal dynasty with a legacy of many Murdaughs serving the community as solicitors within the legal justice system. For those of you that may not know, South Carolina does call their prosecutors solicitors. Interesting. In 2021, the Murdaugh family went from being locally recognized to nationally recognized when a legal saga centered around Alex Murdaugh specifically started making headlines across the country and eventually across the world. In June of 2021, Alex found his wife and son murdered near the kennels located on the family property known as Moselle. This double murder was just the start of what today is referred to as the Murdaugh legal saga, which not only involves the double murder, but even financial fraud, drug use, and a tangled web of lies created by Alex himself. But the deeper the public and media would dig into the life of Alex Murdaugh, the more secrets and crimes they revealed. Alex was charged and arrested for the murder of his wife and son, followed by charges of financial fraud for stealing money from his law firm and clients. He eventually pled guilty, admitting to stealing around $9 million, resulting in a 27-year sentence from the state of South Carolina and 40 years from the federal government. But Alex has always been adamant that he did not kill his wife and son. And in early 2023, he was on trial for the double murder. That trial resulted in a guilty verdict on all counts. So now that you are all caught up on how Alex Murdaugh went from prominent attorney to standing trial for the murder of his wife and son, you are ready to jump right into today's video. I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to your comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like today's video.
Hello, and welcome to Order in the Feed, where I give you my favorite trials, different breakdowns, and my point of view on them. This playlist that you're watching is actually the defendant testifying. Defendants testifying is not a common occurrence, and so when they do testify, it is absolutely a must watch. So I have compiled a few of my favorite trials from, I'd say recent, but probably the last 5 years, where the defendant has testified. And we're going to kick this one off with Alex Murdaugh. The feed is coming from the trial channel. They do an amazing job over there with their edits. They take out the sidebars and the silencing and the dead space, and they really compile these. I do have it on 1.25 speed in order for us to be able to get through the direct examination rather quickly. If you don't know much about the trial, let me give you just a very, very brief recap. This trial is about a now disgraced attorney in the Low Country of South Carolina. It started with some financial crimes that he absolutely is guilty of. But this trial is focused on the murder of his wife and son, Paul. He has two children. The older one is Buster. The younger one is Paul. And you're going to see in his testimony how he walks through the night of what happened. So we're going to kick this off with part 65, 1 of 2, of the direct examination of Alex Murdaugh. If you're not familiar with Alex Murdaugh's case, I'm going to link it down below along with the trial channel that I am actually getting the court feed from. That way you can watch the entire trial from start to finish. It's absolutely one of those trials that you don't want to miss. A lot of things happened. It kept you engaged. some major revelations, and a lot of unanswered questions. So throughout this video, I will be pausing to give my commentary on my thoughts of his testimony. If at any point you see me laughing or smiling at something, has nothing to do with the tragedy that is actually occurred. It may have to do with the audacity of what's being said. It could do to the what's going on in court, and I will do my best to come back on and kind of explain that. But just in case I missed that opportunity, just know that what happened to Maggie, Alex's wife, and his son Paul is absolutely tragic. The testimony sometimes gets outlandish. The attorneys get a little dramatic, and things get a little sometimes lighthearted. And I don't think that's any intent on any part. But there's some wild things that happen, and some things you have to laugh to keep from screaming, "What the?" So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this. But again, we are getting this from the trial channel. Make sure to check them out. And just in case I forget, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and leave a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. But this playlist is all about defendants testifying. Direct examination can be slow. If you're not familiar with what direct examination is, that is when the defendant's attorneys are actually asking a question. So it's very much strategic and very laid out. And so they know what questions are coming, they know what to answer and how to stay within those lines. And so, so we'll jump right into it. But again, check out the trial channel. The entire trial will be linked down below along with theirs. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. So let's jump into this. Okay, again, this is day 21 in the courtroom. The trial channel did an amazing job of, let me go ahead and throw them up here, of putting the date here for us. So this testimony was done on February, and that's what that says. We'll see better whenever I hit play, 23rd, 2023. Let me see if I can get us a better view here.
Your Honor. The defendant.
Okay, so right here where my pointer is at, this is Jim Grip, and he will be doing the direct examination of Alex Murdaugh, whichever you want to call him. And then this here is his other attorney, Dick Harpoot, and I believe this is his name. Yeah, I'm kind of bad about that. And then here, you may not know, but this is Alex Murdaugh. So again, these are kind of the players at the defense table. There are a couple other attorneys, but these are kind of the main ones. Jim is going to be asking the questions here. So let's jump into this.
That Richard Alexander Murdaugh wishes to take the stand.
Watch your step. Just place your right hand on the Bible and raise your eyes. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Don't have a feet on what you stand. The judge that I promise. If you don't mind saying your full name and spelling it.
I'm Alex Murdaugh. Murdaugh. Good morning. Mr. Murdaugh, on June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun or any gun like it and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take 300 blackout such as this and fire it into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body?
No, I did not.
Did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death?
Mr. Joe, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you, in fact, at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and Agent Croft on the follow-up interview on June 10th that the last time you saw Maggie and Paul was at dinner?
I did lie to them.
And in the interview of August 11th, did you tell Agent Owen and Agent Croft, did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Alex, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking. And it could be anything that triggered it. It might be a look somebody gave me. It might be a reaction somebody had to something I did. It might be a policeman following me in a car. That night, June 7th, after finding Mags and Paul, don't talk to anybody without Danny with you. All my partners were just repeatedly telling me that. I had a deputy sheriff taking gunshot tests from my hands. I'm sitting in a police car with David Owen asking me about my relationship with my wife and my son. And all those things coupled together after finding them, coupled with my distrust for SLED, caused me to have paranoid thoughts. Normally, when these paranoid thoughts would hit me, I could take a deep breath real quick and just think about it, reason my way through it, and just get past it really quickly. On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to my son Buster. I'm sorry to Grandma and Papa T. I'm sorry to both of our families. Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them. Ever. Ever.
Did you continue lying after that night? Did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Wow.
You know, oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
Alex, tell the jury what happened on the evening of June 7th, starting when you met with Paul.
I'd been at work that day, a fairly normal day. You mean start in the morning or?
Sure, start in the morning.
Just a regular morning. Maggie was leaving to go out of town. She was going to a doctor's appointment, and
I think what ultimately kind of turned everyone off, I say everyone, but a majority of people, when he testified, was it was hard to get over the reaction that the emotion that he tried to put into place at these random times. So he would be telling his, what he wants the jury to know, what he wants them to hear. And then he would get to these spots and it's kind of like one of those oh, I should be emotional here. And so then it felt like he was forcing it. And so it didn't seem real in a sense of like for myself, losing my dad, which I was very, very close to. It was a very sudden loss. Even to this day, years later, if I'm thinking about a moment and then I start thinking about the moment that led up to like the moments leading up to finding him at his home passed away, it still makes me emotional. And I don't have to force that. In fact, I have to kind of fight it because it'll be at the most random times, things like that. And so it kind of seems like it's more of a rehearsed um, emotional reaction from him is how it is seen. Does that mean that it is? No. I mean, he definitely was an attorney, not an actor. And so I think that him keeping his day job, so to speak, was probably his best bet. But it is how it was perceived. Is it known? Nobody knows. But it is perceived that way. And there's some other spots that you will see the same reaction out of him that just seems like a forced emotion, like it's supposed to be there. And so when that comes up, I will absolutely point that out. But you'll kind of notice that throughout the direct examination of Alex here.
She had some stuff to do at Edista, where she was having some work done on our house at Edista. But Maggie was there that morning. She went to leave, and she told me she was doing these things. I always asked Maggie to come back home and stay with me. But anyway, Maggie had left. She did her thing. I went to work, did work. I learned from Paul that
Who's Paul?
that's Paul, my son Paul Murdaugh.
And your name for him was Paul.
Yeah, we called him Paul.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Buster, Maggie,
You will see in the cross examination a reaction to this Paw situation as well. And I just caught this, and I think I've watched his testimony quite a few times. I've watched the entire playlist. One of my favorite commentary channels is Emily D. Baker. And so when it's fall break or Christmas break or whatever, and there's nothing left on TV and all reality TV shows are in between and things like that, and everybody's on vacation, I will go back and watch different trials with her because her commentary is just absolutely amazing. It's entertaining. Again, not to be intended. I mean, they're very hard cases, but her reaction, how she explains things and says what most of us are thinking is just absolutely amazing. So, of course, she's one of handful that I watch. I don't watch a whole bunch, but she's my go-to for everything. So, but everyone seemed to have a reaction, and I've watched this multiple times. And I just caught that Jim Griffin, the attorney that is direct examining Alex here, seemed like he was a little thrown off as well by him being called Papa. It seemed like nobody had heard him call him that. Like I say, we'll see in cross examination, it's going to be called out. And it's strange that he has to explain this to Jim. And the reason is because Jim Griffin was the attorney for Paul, Alex's son, for a boat incident. Again, I will link a couple of playlists from other creators on this. So I don't want to get too much backstory on it. I also don't recall the details of it fresh enough for me to be able to accurately give those. But essentially, there was a boat crash case that Paul was involved in, and Jim and Dick Harpootlian were the attorneys for Paul. And it has been said or insinuated, I can't remember exactly, but that Jim Griffin was kind of considered like a friend to the Murdaughs prior to Maggie and Paul's death. And so for Jim to be like, Papa, which is kind of how it sounds like he's saying it. It's just kind of interesting. So I'm going to back it up just a smidge. And that way, if you didn't catch his reaction to it, you'll be able to hear it as well. Let me see if I can back this up without doing too much. But let's see, we are. Let's try it here. And then not only his reaction kind of like threw him off, but then for Alex to then explain it to him. So for a nickname that they called him so frequently, or that is assumed to be a frequent name that they called him, Jim just seems a little thrown off by it.
That early Monday morning.
I may have backed up a little too far.
And did and we'll catch back up, but at some point in time, did you meet up with Paul?
Yeah, after work, I met Paul at the property.
Right here.
And we're going to backfill and talk about more of the day, but I just want to focus in on that evening right now.
Okay.
When Paul gets to the property, what do y'all do?
First thing we do is we go to the duff
I
field,
got back to
and we look at the duff field. And
How'd you get to the duff field?
So I may not have backed up far enough. I don't want to mess up the stream too much, but I'm worried that if I back it up too much, that's an awful pause. That I don't end up taking us all the way back to the beginning. But anyway, it was just slightly before I had paused it. If you want to go back and check it out, it just seemed like he was a little shocked. Like I said, I had not caught that prior. So, but let's go back and get into it.
he had come in my brother's truck. We got in my son Buster's black pickup truck. We called it Buster's truck, or the black pickup truck. You've heard it called it, but I call it Buster's truck.
Okay, so you're in Buster's truck, and you go to the duff field. Tell Drew what else.
Well, that's the first thing we do. We go to the duff field and we look, and it was clearly it didn't. You could tell they were. I mean, you could tell they'd been sprayed, and you could tell they were dead. I mean, they might have still had a tiny bit of life, but they were dead. So we knew that. So we knew we had to replant the whole field. So that didn't take but a second. But after that, Paul. We just rode the property. We spent time together. We rode around and we spent time together on the property.
Did you go to the duck pond?
Oh yeah, we went to several food plots. We went to Single Oak Stand, we called it, which is across the road. We went to the bridge stand. We went to the duck pond where we stayed for a minute, and
Did you?
I can remember the duck pond specifically because I helped Paul plant the duff field and the corn in the duff field. So sunflowers, corn, and I helped him plant the corn in the duff field. Paul had planted the duck pond by himself, and he's making a really big deal to me about how much better the corn was doing
Okay, so in this next part that's coming up, kind of pay attention. Lord, now I sound like Becky Court Clerk. Anyway, okay. Again, it'll be in the playlist, but there's a spot coming up here that, oh my gosh, I gotta work on my pause game. That the forced emotion, or seems like, or can feel like a forced emotion from him, kind of comes up after he's recalling this moment with Paul prior to. So I'll let it keep playing out, but just I remember specifically as I was kind of reviewing the testimony again for recording, this spot, it was odd to me because it seemed like it was a happy memory that he's sharing, and then he kind of goes into this emotional, like the transition was very sudden. It didn't seem like it was like an oncoming. And so anyway, but make sure to let me know in the comments your thoughts on my observation, because again, it's just my observation. And I love seeing other point of views. I think that it helps us to grow. It allows us to be able to speak, freely and different perspectives. And so definitely make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button while you're at it.
duck pond than it was in the duff field. So we stayed there for a little while. We were at the cabin for a little while. We rode around the cabin looking at it.
No, cabin is what?
That's, it's just a little small, it's truly a cabin. It's a 4-room structure. It's got a little living area, a little kitchen. It's got 2 little bedrooms and 1 little bathroom. And that's what you've heard talk about where the kids stayed some summers. And
Is that what the jury's seen? Some overhead pictures. It's just right there on Moselle Road.
yeah, it's right up on Moselle Road, and it's very close to the driveway that goes to the shop and the kennels.
Did you spend any time at the shop, you think?
Oh yes. I mean, the shop was, that was sort of the hub. That was the main place. If you weren't at the house, you might be out going to this field or this food plot or this duck pond or this part of the river. But the shop is where the kennels were located. You know, you were always there. Something was always going on there. You're always doing something there. That's where all the tools were. That's where all the equipment was kept. I mean, that was the main hub.
Right.
And so we were there that day. I mean, it was a point in time where we unloaded the bulldozer that had been on a different part of the property. It was on a trailer. We unloaded it and sprayed it down real quick. That was just one of the many things we did that day.
One of the things the jury's seen, Alex, is a Snapchat video of you and doing something with a tree. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So what was happening there?
That's just part of when we were riding. That particular location where that was is at a food plot that we called Sawtooth Oaks, and it was named that because there were some sawtooth oaks that were planted there that you can't see in the picture. But what that tree is, at all these food plots, there's an area where it's not as big as a field, but it's like a field where you plant vegetation for wildlife. Like it might be cowpeas or soybeans, but you plant, and then there's a feeder to attract deer. Then we planted these little fruit trees on these stands. And what you see me doing is fooling with a fruit tree that I'd been tending to. It had fallen over. I had straps on it. I had strings on it that were holding it up. One of the strings popped. I undid the other string, and it was falling over. And Pawpaw was laughing at me, trying to get it back upright. And it's just a fruit tree that I've been dealing with for years. And it wouldn't stand up straight.
And were you and Paul having a good time at that point?
You could not be around Pawpaw. You could not be around him and not have a good time.
And this is
Were you
this was
close
the
to Paul?
spot that I was talking about. It just was a very
You
weird.
couldn't be any closer. Him, Pawpaw, and I, and Buster and I were in awe. He's still wonderful. Wonderful.
And it's one of the things you enjoyed doing together was just riding the property?
I love doing anything with Pawpaw. It was an absolute delight. But yeah, one of the things, Paul's passions. Paul's passionate about a lot of things, but that property was really a passion of his. He loved to work it. He loved to work with fields. He loved to work with food plots. He loved to hunt. He'd work on the roads. He would work on all of it. Work on the structure. He worked on the whole property. It was his passion.
So in the evening of the 7th, jury's been inundated with data from various different sources, but
Sure.
just ballpark, can you, knowing, what we know now after reviewing everything, but roughly when do you remember Paul getting there and you getting there, starting to ride the property?
Now that I've had the benefit of seeing all of these records, Pawpaw got home, I believe a little bit before 7 o'clock. And I got home a little bit before him. I think the details have been that I got home around 6:42 or 6:45 or something like that. And Paul got there, very quickly thereafter.
And then
About 7 o'clock.
So you rode the property for a while. You remember when Maggie arrived?
Yeah, it was later than that. It was 8 or after 8. I think it was after 8 and looking at the records. A little bit after 8.
And do you remember her arriving or where you were when she arrived?
I believe that I was at the shop when she came through, which would not be unusual for her having been away. If Blanca had gotten the mail or somebody got in the mail, maybe not. But if somebody had not gotten the mail, it would be perfectly normal for her to pull through there. And I believe she did pull through there that day. And Paul and I were at the shop, I believe.
And then what did you do after Maggie arrived?
Maggie went to the house, and I know that. But shortly after he got in and Maggie got home, I went to the house when Maggie got home, and I left Paul at the shop.
So, and what'd you do when you got to the house?
I saw Mags, talked to Mags, and I took a shower.
The clothes that we saw in that Snapchat video was that the clothes you had at work that day?
Yes, those are the clothes I had on at work that day.
And the jury's seen you in those clothes, and what's on June 7th. How tall were you, and how much did you weigh?
On June 7th, well, I'm a hair over 6'4", right at 6'4". On June the 7th, I was about 265 pounds, 264, 265.
And this was in June 7th.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you're outside riding around, and do you get hot and sweaty?
Absolutely. I mean, Paul and I have done some things. We unloaded the bulldozer, cleaned the bulldozer, we fooled around. Yeah, I mean, I sweated. I was heady, and taking prescription pills also makes you sweat worse, or at least taking oxycodone makes you sweat more than you normally do.
So was it unusual for you to take a shower when you got back to the house?
Not at all.
And after you took a shower, what did you change into?
I changed into the clothes that you've seen in this trial, shorts and the shirt.
Okay. When you got out of the shower, and changed clothes, what did you do next?
I went back out where Mags and Pawpaw were, and for dinner.
What's going on?
Mags had, as you've heard, Blanca had prepared dinner, but it had been cooked earlier. Mags had fixed. I know Mags had fixed mine and her plate because I didn't fix a plate. She may have fixed Pawpaw. Pawpaw was eating, and Pawpaw was almost done eating by the time I got back out, which also wasn't unusual. I mean, Pawpaw was always on the go. I mean, he never sat still, and he'd sit down to eat, but then he's going on to his next item.
And
so then Maggie and I ate.
And you ate at the table? You ate at the den? What's your normal? Oh.
Well, we would do both, but I mean, when we ate at the table, it was really sort of more formal, or not formal, but just more of an organized thing. What we would normally do on a regular evening is we would eat in the den in front of the TV, and that's where we ate that day. I ate on the couch, the table. Maggie had a little a TV tray that she kept over there, and Pawpaw would usually sit in a recliner and eat off of the ottoman.
Was the TV on?
Yes.
Was that normal for the TV to be on?
Yes. TV. If we were in the house, TV was on.
So what happened next, Alex?
Pawpaw moved on doing whatever he was doing. I don't know if he was in the gun room doing something, or he was in his room doing something. He was outside doing something. I actually thought he'd go into the shed, but in looking to the shop, but in looking at the benefit of having these records that we have, I know he was still at the house or somewhere around the house doing something, but he wasn't in there with Maggie and I. But Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and I had eaten dinner. I laid back on the couch where I was sitting. Maggie wanted to go to the kennels, and she asked me to go, and I didn't go at that time. I didn't want to go.
Why didn't you want to go?
It was hot. I just had a shower. I knew I'd end up doing more work, sweating more, and the dogs is always a chaotic scene, and I just didn't want to go right then.
Well, let me ask you, what had you done the previous days, like Friday and Saturday and Sunday?
Start with Friday and go backwards.
Yeah. Start with Friday.
All right. On that,
just briefly.
So 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th. So June the 4th, my dad was in the hospital in Savannah, Georgia, at Memorial Hospital, and I went down to visit him Friday afternoon, and I stayed with him in the hospital. I spent the night there. He was real sick. I mean, he was having a hard time.
Did you get much sleep Friday night?
No, I mean, I had a real sweet nurse found me. At first, there was just a hard chair in there like this, but the nurse found me a soft chair, sort of like a recliner. So, I mean, I'm sure I slept, but I didn't sleep. I didn't get a night's sleep. No, sir.
And then Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday, we had plans with Buster in Brooklyn. Y'all heard about Brooklyn. It's Buster's wonderful little girlfriend. And Max and I had plans with them to meet them in Columbia, to go to the South Carolina. It was a regional baseball tournament. South Carolina was playing Virginia, I believe. So when I got back from Savannah and met up with Mags, at some point we headed to Columbia. So there wasn't a lot going on in between there. So we headed up to Columbia and met Bus in Brooklyn.
And then, did you stay in Columbia Saturday night?
We did. We went to the ball game, and I remember it was an evening game. We went pretty early and tailgated. Maggie had reconnected with a college friend who coincidentally had married a college friend of mine. And they had a son that played for Carolina. He was a first baseman, a really good little player. And we met them and tailgated with them, and it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of the parents of the players that were playing for Carolina, and it was a fun time. We tailgated, and then we went to, and it was a night game, so we went to the game, and the game got over. It was fairly late into the evening, and after that, Boss, Brooklyn, and Madge and I believe we went to the restaurant in the hotel where we were staying, but we went, had dinner, and then Bus and Brooklyn went home, and of course Maggie and I went to our room.
And then about the next day, is there another game?
Another game the next day. That's right. And
then after that, you head back to Moselle with Maggie.
Yeah, we went to the game. That's right. Mags and I go back to Moselle.
The jury's heard about, I think, Ms. Rass talking about you bringing Krispy Kreme donuts to your dad.
Maggie loved it. She spoiled my dad, and always taking something. My dad loved sweets, and I picked up donuts and took Krispy Kreme donuts to him.
And then you both spent the night together at Moselle on Sunday night. Did you both spend the night at Moselle on Sunday night?
Yes.
And then the 7th was a work day?
That's right. It's a Monday, June the 7th.
Hang on. I'll rephrase it.
I'm sorry.
Was Monday the 7th a work day for you?
Yes.
And just wanted to do that background. So moving forward to when you testified previously about Maggie asking you to go to the kennels, were you tired?
Oh, yes, I was tired.
And you just had a shower?
Just had a shower.
And you said that, well, did you go with Maggie to the kennels immediately?
No, I did not.
What'd you do? What did she leave?
Yes, she did. She left and Pawpaw was gone.
You know how she got to the kennels?
At the time, I didn't, but now looking at these condensed records and understanding the timeline, it's clear to me that she rode with Pawpaw.
And did you stay in the house?
Yes.
For how long?
Not long. I laid back on the couch, put my feet up, and like many times when Maggie asked me to do something that I didn't want to do, or didn't start out doing, I changed my mind and decided I'm gonna ride up there. And I did.
And how did you get to the kennels?
I went on a golf cart.
Was the golf cart at the house, the main house?
Yeah, it was, and it was there most of the time.
And when you got down to the kennels, what was happening?
It's just what I thought it was. It was a little bit of chaos. I mean, it's clear to me that Max had just let the dogs out. The two dogs that were out were really her pet dogs. One is Grady. You've heard about a black lab. That's Grady. That's Buster's dog. And the other is the yellow lab that you've heard about. That's Bubba. Bubba was mine and Maggie's dog, but it was really mine, Maggie's, Bus, and Pawpaw's dog. It was a family dog. But Bubba's a dog I hunted. Maggie loved Bubba. She loved Grady too, but she had a special place for Bubba. But anyway, when the dogs first were let out, the first thing they would do is they would run. If you look at the overhead picture that you've seen, they were planted pines right behind the kennels. So you got the kennels and the chicken coop sort of form an L shape. And in that L was some planted pines. First thing the dogs would do is go out in that kennel, and Bubba and Grady, I think, learned this from Bubba, but Grady would do it too. But Bubba had to mark every tree. He would go and he'd do a little number on this tree, and actually, dogs do, and it's marking his territory. And so that was the first thing those dogs did when they came out. When I got there, those dogs were in that area. So that's why I believe that it hadn't been long before they'd been let out. Grady was chasing guineas, which was a normal thing to do.
What are guineas?
Guinea fowl is like It's like a chicken. It's a domestic bird that, we had them. They make a lot of racket. It's like I know this sounds silly, but it's like a guard bird. Because anytime, they just make a lot of racket anytime anything unusual is going on. If anything disturbs them, it could be a person, it could be somebody driving up, whatever, they're going to make a lot of racket. So Grady's chasing the guineas. Paul's fooling with Rogan's dog Cash. Maggie's just kind of standing there watching the dogs, which is normal. And they were in that place. As the dogs are out longer, they branch out more. But at that point in time, they were right there. So it told me they hadn't been out a long time. Bubba catches a chicken. I'm talking to Maggie for just, a short time before Bubba catches a chicken. I take the chicken, I put it, when Bubba didn't chase, these dogs didn't chase the chickens to kill them. And they didn't normally kill them. They did kill them sometimes, but it was about the chase with those dogs. And they were proud when they caught one. You could just tell by the way Bubba would prance to you when he brought chicken to you. He was proud that he had caught it, but he wasn't trying to kill it. And so most times the chicken wasn't dead, and that chicken wasn't dead. But a lot of times they would be stunned and they would be just real lethargic. So you had to take the chicken and you had to put it up somewhere where, the chicken could be by itself for a minute and it would eventually, usually, come back to normal and go on about its, whatever chicken does.
Did you get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I did. I took the chicken from Bubba and I put it on top of that.
Now we're seeing, this video of Paul with Cash, Rogan's dog. So did you know that was going on? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I knew Paul was fooling with when I pulled up on the golf cart, Maggie was standing back sort of where the driveway would be. It sort of runs out at the feed room, storage room, what we call this thing called the feed room. But it sort of ran out. Maggie was a little bit further up where she could see back in that angle where the dogs were. Paul was fooling with Rogan's dog back towards the kennel. If I remember when I first got there, Paul was more in the driveway, but then I knew Paul was in the kennel fooling with Cash, yes. But did I know what he was doing? I didn't know exactly what he was doing, no. I knew he was fooling with his tail.
But was Cash in the kennel when you pulled up, do you think?
Not when I first got there.
Did Bubba or Grady have any collars on?
Yes.
Which, both dogs, one dog, do you remember?
I don't know about Grady, but I know Bubba had on his, what we call a tracking collar. Paul, for his hunting dogs, Paul had a series of tracking collars, and I think there was 5. It might have been 6, but there's a tracking collar that had a device that would tell you where that collar was, so that Bubba was bad about, he would stay close for a minute, but then he would take off, and he especially do that on Maggie. He would take off and run, and so he had on a tracking collar that if he did that, you could, you could know, okay, he's, a half a mile down here. It's not going to follow him but so far, but it would follow a good long distance. So you could go get the dog if he ran off, which Bubba frequently would do, especially when it was just Mags and Bubba. And so Paul probably would have been the one to put that on Bubba.
So you've got us where you've gotten the chicken out of Bubba's mouth and put it up on a doghouse or something?
I believe what I put it on, and I don't remember this, but I've seen pictures and all this, and I saw the chicken sitting on top of the what looks to me like a portable dog crate. Wherever it was sitting on there is where I would have put it up there. If any reason to believe anybody else moved that chicken, and then ultimately that chicken did die.
And what'd you do after you got the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
I got out of there. I left. I went back to the house.
All right. Well, before we do that, we seen the dog kennel video with Cash and Mr. Davis. We slowed it down for him. Did you see the water hose in that video on the ground? You remember seeing that?
Yes, I did.
Was the water hose out?
Obviously, in the video, but I don't specifically remember that, but I can look in that video and see it.
Right.
But that's not something that I noticed.
So, but you've seen it in the video here.
Yes, sir.
And then the 2 dogs were out.
Absolutely. Bubba and Grady.
And then you head back. How did you get back to the house?
Same route. The same route I'd come on. I came down the driveway, made a left on, you saw my route in the car. I drove that same route.
My question obviously wasn't clear enough. What were you in a vehicle? You walked? What mode of transportation did you use to get back to the house?
Same way I came. I went back in the golf cart. And it was the golf cart, if you remember, that Mark Ball testified that he saw where we normally.
Okay, so again, my pause game sucks. Let me see, because he is.
Normally would park it. You pull.
Let's see, that's a little better. No, he's still like silly, but anyway. So we are into his direct examination where he is explaining what led up to. And so, as you see, it's very pointed, a lot of detail. He will reference when it's something that he may not remember, but he remembers seeing. He's referring to testimony that he's heard to help like add to a story. It's just very linear and it's very detailed because it's direct examination. It's going to be very pointed and very practiced, not so much rehearsed, but practiced. And so, I don't have personal experience like myself with a pill addiction or using prescription pills to the point of addiction, but I do have knowledge enough from family members that have struggled with this type of addiction. And I don't know that the recall of detail, if he was using as many pills as he says he was using per day at a time, and how high he states that he would be able to recall this amount of detail without being told, seen, or rehearsed, especially with the time lapse that had happened and all the events that happened after the fact. So, it's just kind of interesting in that fact. But we are going to continue on with his direct examination. It is a little slow. It's the cross-examination is really where the information. It's not cross-examination. It's not for information. It's really to get the facts out there. So, and kind of to rattle. So the strategy is a little different there, but it's definitely kind of more engaging. So, but we'll continue on.
Well, pull along the front entrance, and either you come in from the left and you go just past it and be on the right, or you come in from the right and you'd be just past it on the left. And that's where I got in it, and that's where I put it back.
Did you do anything else before leaving after you took the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
No.
We've heard about Bubba being stubborn. How long did it take you to get chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
Well, Bubba could be stubborn, but Bubba would listen to me. And another thing, when Bubba had on that collar, one of the other features of that collar was.
Did Bubba have on the collar, or was it Grady?
Bubba had on the collar.
Bubba had the collar.
I know Bubba had a collar on, and I'm not sure about Grady.
Okay.
If I misspoke on that, there's no question about it. Bubba had on the collar. I assume Grady did too. But I didn't, even though I saw Grady, I didn't notice for a fact that Grady had on the collar.
Okay.
But he probably did.
So
makes sense to me that he did.
How long did it take to get chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
It didn't take long. Number one, Bubba's coming back there to show me, hey, I caught this chicken. So he's not running from me. He's proud of that fact that he caught this chicken. So, I mean, he comes right up to me. Bubba was really strong. But you take your thumb when the dog's clenched and his mouth's a little bit open. All you do is you take your thumb and you push his gum in really tight against those sharp teeth, and his mouth opens right up. Took the chicken out and put it on, I believe, the portable dog kennel.
And then left.
And then I left.
Then leave. And what? Did you go back to the house?
I went straight back to the house, to the air conditioner.
And what did you do when you got back to the house?
I lay down on the couch.
And then what? Well, then it was TV on when you went back?
Yeah, the TV never got cut off.
You went back to the house, you lay down on the couch, and then what happened next?
I'm not positive that dozed off for a minute, or didn't doze off for a minute, but I got up off of the couch, and I made up my mind I was going to visit my mom.
Had you spoken to Barbara Mixon earlier in the day?
I did.
And
I talked to Barbara most days. If I didn't see her, I talked to her.
Well, what was your understanding of your mother's condition on late on the afternoon of the 7th?
She was agitated, which she got agitated when my dad, we were putting my dad in the hospital. I mean, he had a lot over the 18 months, 2 years. I mean, my dad was in the hospital. He was in the hospital a lot. And my mom, I believe my mom knew when my dad wasn't there because, I mean, she would get agitated. I mean, that's just the only term you can think of. She'd get agitated. She'd cry a lot. She'd be fussy when she normally wouldn't be fussy. I mean, I know Alzheimer's patients are unpredictable, but I'm convinced she knew because it happened frequently. And Barbara Ann told me, your mom's agitated. You need to check on her. I gave her medicine. She's resting. So it wasn't anything urgent. But she's resting. So what Barbara would do, and Barbara could handle her better than, my mama. We all love Barbara. My mama loved Barbara. Barbara could get my mom to do things that nobody else, when she'd fuss for anybody else, including me or my brothers or my sisters, Barbara could get her, in order. And, but Barbara giving her medicine and to settle her down and calm her down. And that would sometimes make her go to sleep for a little while. But then she'd be agitated when she woke up.
So did you go check on your mom?
I did.
Where did you park when you got there?
You saw the pictures. There's 2 exits off of that deck. One of them to the right, one of them straight out that back door. I would have parked to the left. If you're coming down these steps, if these are the steps, it would be to the left and back over there.
All right.
Which is where I always park, or where we always park, anytime you were going in that entrance.
All right, I'm gonna stop there and ask Doug, if you don't mind pulling out States Exhibit 524, which is the GM on-flow data, and slide 38, which is in evidence. Can you see this the slide with those dots?
Yes, sir.
Alex?
I can.
And the red dots here at the that seem to be joined. Where is that in relation to your parents' house?
Where the arrow is?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's back in the area where I'm talking about. All right, so if you look in this picture, all right, you see the.
I will say I am always a sucker for a visual. So for me, if I were a juror, this would be overly helpful. So, but he's going to explain why the red dots are there and the route and how he went in and out.
Open area with the green grass, that's the front door. Okay, yeah, right where that circle is. That's the front door. If you look closely at the house, you can see a big dormer right in the middle of the roof. That's right over the front door. The white thing to the left of the house, that's like a parking pad where the driveway ends. And there's a parking pad. So you go, if you follow the driveway all the way to the house, you're going to run straight into a carport, all right? By the carport door. Just to the left, before you get to the carport, is this area that you can see here. That's part driveway, mainly parking pad.
All right, I'm gonna Doug, if you'll pull up Defendant's Exhibit 130, which is in evidence, please, sir. Yeah, and from this photo, can you point out roughly where you parked that evening?
All right, this is the entrance to the right that I'm talking about. There's an exit and an entrance right in front of that door that you see there. So if you came down those steps, walk to your left, would be where I park.
Oh, would you have parked on the grass?
You get on the edge of the grass back there. There's some grass there for sure, but it's not the area up here by the house where it's sodded and
sure
this grass that you can really see in this picture. So it may be on the edge of the grass.
In relation to the satellite dish, are you looking at this photo? Are you to the right of that?
Yeah, you'd be to the right of that satellite dish.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I believe that satellite dish is right on the edge of the there's a hedge, and like you see I don't know what you call it, a border, like a border where the grass ends and the flower bed or whatever it is starts.
Right.
I think you can't see it, but I think that satellite's probably close to that border.
All right. Well, let's
so it'd be to the right of that in this picture.
Doug, we pull up a Defendant's Exhibit 134. See if this is Sorry, is the door that you're talking about?
That's it.
The stairs Are those the ones where you would enter?
Right. That these are the steps that I used that night that we always used. And one of the reasons being is my dad, this door goes into what we call the breakfast room. The breakfast room leads right into the kitchen. And so straight through this door, all of the breakfast room is kind of to the left. That door goes straight through another doorway. It's no door there, but it's like just an opening. It goes into the kitchen. Immediately to your right, so that entrance into the kitchen is the entrance into where my mom and dad's rooms were. So you went through that door, you were in a little area that had my mom's closet, my dad's closet. A little bit further, you go into my mom's bedroom. If you went to the right, you would go. My dad and my mom didn't sleep in the same room at this point, but the bedrooms were, they were back to back. There was a door going from one to the other that blocked it. Was there, and then there was a bathroom. So this is really the part of the house that at their age was getting used. So that's why you went in this entrance, because my mom and whoever was caring for her was always in her bedroom, which would be just on the other side of the room that has these windows that you see to the right. All right, those would be the windows for the room where my dad slept.
Right.
And then my mom's right on the other side. The kitchen's right there. This is the part of the house they were always in.
And are you the only one that would pull up in the back like that?
No.
Common to your brothers and your sister to do the same?
Oh, we all did it. I mean, we all parked in the same way. If you knew you were going to the front of the house, or if you knew there was a crowd there, or for whatever, you may park on the driveway. But if you knew under normal circumstances, my dad always stayed in the breakfast room where he had a recliner and a TV. That's where my dad always was. My dad you would never go catch him sitting in the den up front or in a living room. He just wasn't up there. He was in this room watching TV, or either he was on this back deck. And my mom was either in her room, which was just off of that, or she might be in the kitchen or the breakfast room.
And when you got to the house, who was there? Your mother's house on the night of June 7th.
My mom was there and Shelley Smith was there.
And what did you do when you got there?
The first thing I did was I knocked on the door. The door was locked. I knocked on the door. Shelley didn't hear me.
And then what'd you do next?
I called her.
Called what?
I called my mom's house to let Shelley know I was there. Please come let me in.
And is that the house phone that's been referred to?
Yes.
Okay. And did she let you in?
Sure.
And then what happened next?
I went in and I visited with my mom. You want me to go into detail on that?
Well, just briefly. Yeah. What'd you do?
I went in the house. In my mom's bedroom, my mom had a bed that was where she slept in normal times. It was like, a bed with, the poles coming out of the corner, a poster bed that coming out of the corners. And she had a bed like that where she slept, but she didn't sleep there anymore. But it was in the room. It was a hospital bed. So when you walked in the room, her bed was to the right. Against the wall to the left was a hospital bed, like a single bed, but a hospital bed and a TV. And then there was a recliner where whoever was helping her would usually sit. So I went in and I sat down on my mom's hospital bed and I just talked to her for a minute. My mom was awake and I held her hand. And
What kind of condition was she in?
Her condition was not good at any time, but given her overall condition, she seemed to be doing pretty well. I mean, she wasn't agitated like I thought she would be, or like I was worried she would be, or like Barbara had described her at that point. So she wasn't agitated. And, I just talked to her. Anytime we talked to my mom, we always tried to be real positive and, upbeat and just, and I just talked to her. I just talked to her, made sure she was okay.
Did you stay seated on the side of her hospital style bed, or did you move around?
I mean, I stayed there for a few minutes. I stayed there and I talked to her more than just a few seconds. And then, but I didn't stay there. She did look tired. So I got up and I went and I think I sat on my mom's bed for a minute to start with, and then I laid down on my mom's bed, which is, that's what I normally did when I went in there. There wasn't like a lot of chairs to sit in. And I just laid back on the bed. And when talked to Shelley and we watched TV.
And when you're talking about your mom's bed, are you referring to her regular bed?
That's right. Not her hospital bed, not the bed she was in, but her bed, the one I was talking about with like posts.
Nice. let me skip something. Was Maggie planning to go over to your mother's with you that night?
No, she wasn't planning to go with me that night.
Okay.
No, in fact, Maggie didn't really like to visit my mom. It was, she loved to visit my dad, and she loved to spend time with my dad. And she spent a lot of time with my mom when my mom was healthy. But, you know, I mean, by this point, my mom, she was a shell. She was a shell of her old self. And I mean, it was kind of sad to go and visit her anytime. I mean, she wasn't healthy. And Maggie didn't like to go and just visit my mom.
When you left Moselle to head to Alameda, the evening after you come back to the house at Moselle, what exit did you use of the Moselle property when you're going to Alameda on the evening of June 7th?
I went out the main gates, which would be straight ahead. You've heard of the two gates. There's this.
It's kind of funny to see how two lawyers, I mean, you have a lawyer on the stand and then you have a lawyer doing lawyering. And you can see in that moment just a second ago where Alex is trying to continue leading the examination. And Jim is like, well, wait, I have a question. But I like how Jim asserted himself like, no, this is my examination. Hold up. Without saying, this is my examination. Hold up. So, let's see.
The shop entrance. There's actually several entrances, but the main ones we used, there was an entrance by the Dove Field, there was an entrance further down by Salty Oaks, but the main ones we used were the shop entrance and what we call the main entrance, where the brick gates were.
Did you go? Why didn't you go by the kennels on your way out?
There wasn't a reason to go by the kennels at that point, and I was going to Alameda, which the main gate would be the gates that were closer.
Did you notify Maggie in some form that you were leaving to go to see your mom?
I tried to call her.
And did she answer?
No.
And what did you do after that?
I think I tried to call her again.
And did she answer?
No, she didn't answer. And at some point, I texted her after that.
Well, the fact that she didn't answer on 2 times, did that concern you?
At that time,
right,
it didn't concern me at all. Number one, she was with Paul.
Okay, so that emotional transition, again, bad pause, but we'll work on it. That transition seemed a little more natural, but the emotional transitions for me are hard, of how sudden they come on and off. But again, you know, I think everyone's different. So it's hard to say, oh, he's lying because of it, or, oh, he's guilty because of it, you know, any of those things. But I just figure it's a good idea to point them out. So continue.
So, no, I mean, number two, I mean, it's not unusual to not be able to get somebody all the time when they're at the house or they're on the property. I mean, you've heard all the testimony about how spotty cell service was. So, no, at the time, it didn't strike me as anything unusual. So,
now moving back to Alameda, you spent time with your mother, and then you left to head back to Moselle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You drive straight back to Moselle.
I did.
Now, Alec, there's some information from the telemetry data off your Suburban and perhaps some of this OnStar GPS data that indicates that at some point in time in your mother's driveway, you stopped for about a minute. Do you recall seeing that data?
I did.
What were you doing when you stopped?
I was getting my phone. That my phone had gotten. There's a console in the middle of my car, and my phone had gotten down in the console, between the console and the seat, where you couldn't get to it.
Were you, during that minute or however long it was, were you disposing of murder weapons, Alec?
No.
Were you disposing of Bloody clothes.
No.
And your ride back to Moselle, was it? Were you driving faster than normal? Normal.
I was driving however I drive, normal way that I drive.
When you got back to the Moselle property, how did you enter the property? What entrance did you use?
Came right back through the main gate.
And what'd you do then?
Went straight to the house.
And when you got to the house, what'd you do?
I went inside.
Were lights on when you pulled out?
Lights were on in the house for sure. I can't remember if there were floodlights on or not. I don't believe there were any floodlights on, but there were definitely lights. All the lights in the house were on. Yes.
And when you how long did you stay inside the house, roughly?
Now that I've seen the benefit of these records, I was in there several minutes.
Obviously, I mean, were you surprised that Paul and Maggie had not made it back to the house?
You know, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I mean, I thought they would have been back by then, you know, but I mean, did it cause me to go into any, it wasn't like I was shocked, but I mean, I thought they would be there. I mean, I distinctly remember, you know, I went and looked. Sometimes I was very hot natured. Number one, I was hot, I was heavy, and I was taking pills. So I was always hot. Maggie was always cold. Sometimes she would watch TV. We had a TV in the hunting room you see on the wall there. Sometimes Maggie would be in there watching TV where she could have the thermostat different than we always kept it cold in the main part of the house. So I know I went in there and looked in there for her. It's not unusual for Maggie to be taking a bath and be not able to hear me. So I went back there and I know I did those two things and looked in those two places, and they weren't there. And so, you know, I knew they'd been at the kennels, and I assumed they were still up there.
So what'd you do?
I went to the kennels. I may have tried to call them. And in fact, I probably did try to call them. I would think I called them. But as I sit here right now, I'm not positive, but I would think I did. Would think I tried to call them to see.
And now, did you drive down to the kennels in your Suburban?
I did.
And the transition
What'd you see?
is different. It is definitely different. Interesting, but again, I would like
y'all see pictures of
your thoughts on the transition of emotional. Yeah, I will say that face was a lot more emotional than the other thing. Interesting.
so bad. Can I have some water? Yeah, I went to
Okay, so we're currently, oh my gosh, that drives me nuts. Okay, we're currently 1 hour into Alex Murdaugh's direct testimony during the murder trial of his wife and son, Maggie and Paul. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop this here. I'm going to break these up into 1 hour segments because this coverage from the trial channel is about I'm sure you guys have seen it as 4 hours and 46 minutes. And so I'm going to break them up into 1 hour segments. That way it's not just like a whole bunch to take in at one time. So this part is going to be concluded. I think it's a good stopping point. And then watch for part 2, which will be the next 1 hour segment. So I figure if we don't break them up into 1 hour, it'd be a lot easier. But again, this coverage is coming from the trial channel. Make sure to go and check them out. And you can find the entire trial on their channel. I will link them down below. That way you can watch from start to finish if you would like to, and just not the testimony that I am sharing here today. of course, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this first part of Alex's direct examination as he testifies. Again, defendants testifying is not common. And so it's always an interesting part of the trial when they do decide to testify. So, okay, watch out for the second part. It will be linked down below. That way you can just click it. But just in case you miss it, there will be part 2, and I will make sure to clear them off. So, till next time.